Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to Telling Time. So, I recently took a short trip to Paris, France, and this was my first trip to Paris. So I was there looking for the national monuments and of course trying to check out some cool watches. I had a really good time in Paris and ended up loving the city. So without further ado, let me show you what I got up to. To be honest with you guys, I did not find too much in terms of watches. I knew there were boutique stores in Champs-Élysées and also the Grand Seiko store in the Paris Vendôme, but unfortunately I wasn't able to go to either due to time constraints. However, I came across a treasure trove of watches on the ground floor of Galeries Lafayette department store while checking it out. In the watch section, there was almost any brand under the sun, and it was a delight to browse in there. And naturally, I had to go to the Tudor store as I was interested to see the Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT, and this store had surprising amounts of stock on display. I saw almost every modern Tudor model in store as well as what I came for. To sum up my experience with the Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT, it is certainly a handsome watch and very well fitting on my wrist. However, I still disliked the Coke bezel colorway, and I also thought that the GMT hand needed to be a different color to differentiate itself from the other hands. You know, Tudor is very funny to me. They keep releasing models that slightly lack in some way until you eventually land on a perfect one like the Pelagos 39. But the Black Bay 58 wore like a dream, so I think I will hold out for a Pepsi colorway if it does come in the future. I also got to see the new Black Bay 41 monochrome black model, and in hand it was kind of unassuming and a bit underwhelming. Personally, the Black Bay 41 case is a bit chunky and rudimental for me, but what I was really surprised by is the bezel action on this model. It has one of the best bezel actions I've ever experienced in a dive watch, and maybe even better than the sub. For people with larger wrists who want something different to the Submariner, I think this is quite a good option. Now, my next stop was at a smaller collective store called Ochrono store by Ocarat. This store is located right next to the Louvre Museum and houses a very large selection of brands that you don't get to experience in Australia. From Yema, Vulcain, Airain, and Zin to LAKEY and Nivada Grenchen. Some of the brands that I was very interested in to try were Yema, Vulcain, and Nivada Grenchen, and I started with the F77. I initially started to be interested in this piece after seeing TGV's video on it, and in person, I was actually very impressed by it. I thought it had a great design and history, and the 37mm case wore very well on my wrist, with its presence being boosted by the integrated end links. After finally experiencing it in person, I really took a liking to it, and I think I might look to add it to my collection in the future. But let me know what you guys think about it. The ones I would be interested in, however, would be the precious stone dial versions, or even the ice blue dial, but not this brown fume dial. I also tried on the Nivada Grenchen Depthmaster, but I didn't really like it. I thought that the proportions and finishing were a bit off, and the entire design just made it feel and look like a bit of a toy. When drawing comparisons to the Panerai, this definitely does not hold a candle to the flame of Panerai. Next up, I tried on the Vulcain Cricket in the lime green dial. Vulcain is another brand in the same realm of Nivada Grenchen that got revived by Guillaume Ledet, and so I was interested to see what it offered. It was a cool watch and I liked the detail on the lugs and the alarm function, but it was a bit hard to justify the price on the watch. I also saw the Vulcain Nautique Skin Diver in green. Again, a really cool dive watch with a nice size that wore well on my wrist, but nothing really stood out to me, and I didn't really like the thin bezel on it. I also noticed misalignment on the bezel, which kind of put me off. I'm not sure whether it's just this model or an issue with Vulcain as a whole, so if you have any experience with the brand, do let me know in the comments. And finally, I got to try on the Yema Urban Traveler. This store has a special edition in Paris blue that had a really striking dial and the blue micro-rotor movement on the back. To my knowledge, this piece is exclusive to this store, and if you know me, I'm a sucker for exclusive pieces. Overall, the Urban Traveler wore very nice again, but when I pulled out the crown, I found that the second hand didn't hack. Again, I'm not sure if it's only this model, but knowing about Yema's QC issues and having that experience, I was a bit put off on this model. But overall, I had an amazing time in the Ochrono store. The sales assistant was very welcoming and let me take my time to sit down and experience the watches. And although she didn't speak much English and didn't have too much watch knowledge, which is a pet peeve of mine, I still had a great experience nonetheless. My watch journey in Paris was capped off with an appointment to the Baltic Showroom in Paris, which is one of the 3 major boutique stores that Baltic Watches has. I made an appointment at the showroom, and to be honest, getting there was a bit sketchy, guys. It was in an alleyway behind a steel gate, and at first, I kind of couldn't work out how to get in. But anyway, after I got my head around following the entry instructions, we arrived at the store. And I have to say, the boutique is an amazing store with every single Baltic watch on display and in the flesh, from the very first Aquascaphe diver to the latest release, the Prismic Precious Stone Collection. And oh man, in person, the Prismic Precious Stone Collection pieces were something else with their unique cut dials. There are 3 pieces in the collection, the London Red Agates, the New York Green Jade, and the Paris Blue Lapis Lazuli, and each had their own charm. It was incredibly tough to choose which one I liked the most, but at the boutique, I found out that the remaining stock for these pieces were distributed to the cities that they represent, so only the Lapis was available in Paris. In hand, I didn't really like the mesh bracelet and I think I preferred them on the leather straps. The unique case with the titanium mid-case sandwiched in steel, combined with the 36mm size, led to the watch feeling very light and comfortable on wrist. And the finishing on the Delphine hands really give this watch a Grand Seiko-ish look. While I was there, I also checked out the Aquascaphe GMT, which I was really interested in, and I really liked it. It had great bezel action and fit and finish. However, like I mentioned earlier, I think I will hold out for the Black Bay 58 GMT in Pepsi color. And I don't know what it is with me, I just have a thing for Pepsi bezel GMTs. There was also the Bicompax Chronograph and Tricompax Panda Chrono, both of which were also impressive. Anyway, if you're interested in Baltic watches, I would definitely recommend to visit their showrooms to get a hands-on experience with the model, as I had a really great time there. So that brings me to the end of my watch adventure in Paris. Overall, the shopping experience in Paris was a positive one, apart from the fact that there weren't too many stores to choose from, and watch prices there are still quite expensive compared to Australia. However, at least the staff are friendly and welcoming. Thank you as always for watching, and if you enjoyed this video or if I missed any places in Paris, let me know in the comments, and please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed my content. And as always, I'll see you next time.